for what
All
they
right,
believe is rightfully theirs.
playing
Will they be able to
home
break
cook
the
in San
stalemate
Antonio.
and come out on top?
We took home
against
field
the
from them. We won the
San
first
Antonio
game,
Spurs?
dropped the second.
Round 2 of the NBA
Now we're going to
playoffs
sweep
continue.
this home
Coming right up.
stand. We're going to go back to Dallas up 3-1 and finish it there.
And here we
At least
are,
that's my hope.
broadcasting live. Game 3 of the Western
Better than by
Conference
10 games in the regular
semifinals.
season.
Brian Anderson here with me, Grant Hill and Richard Jefferson. Joining
It's
us
the playoffs,
courtside
baby.
is Allie LaForce.
The 4-time
Looking
defending
at the starting
champions.
five for the
I
Dallas
went back
Mavericks.
and looked at my series.
And for San Antonio,
And
Murray
my
out
first
there with
year,
Devin
I
Vassell.
have played the Mavericks
Then there's
before.
Lou
It's my
Dort.
first
Then
year.
there's Jakob Poeltl. And it's Duran in at the center
2022-23 season.
position.
So the season when this game came out, I played him, same thing. It was, well, not same thing. It was the 6th seed versus the 3rd seed in the first round, I believe I
Dallas
played
will
him.
get the first possession.
Now it's the 6th seed, I beat the 3rd seed.
He's guarded
The
by
6th seed
Vassell.
versus the 2nd seed.
Pass to Moody.
So they're actually a seed higher. I think this team is better than that team that I faced.
Shot clock at 5.
Well, I mean, it is record-wise anyway.
The rebound by
But like
the
playing
Spurs.
against them, they're more difficult. That first year, I swept my way through the playoffs, and I was dominant. Dominant with a capital D. So I was playing that defense, baby.
Pulls up.
I was quick enough.
How did he break that one? He smoked it.
All right.
Everything was set up for that to be an easy
But yeah.
basket.
And the teams that I played the most,
And it's out of bounds. That
it
one
was
off
the
the
Warriors. I
ball.
played them in 2 series, I want to say. The Rockets. This will be the 3rd series, I believe, that I played against them.
Doncic
The
with
Thunder
it.
was 2. Played Lakers
Pass to
once, I
Moody.
want to say.
Launches
But
it.
yeah,
Nails it from 3.
because each year you play what?
Doncic to make
Oh,
smart moves
and
with
then
the
that
ball.
first year, it was the
Puts it in the
Celtics
hands
that
of
I
a
faced
guy
in the
with a
finals.
wide open shot.
That was awesome. So I beat Boston,
Doncic
and I think
against Murray.
they ended up beating the Cavaliers the year before.
And he makes no
In the that year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the very next year the Cavs then beat them.
The Mavericks have
And
gone
I faced them for the next 2 years, the Cavs in the finals, and last year was Wembley.
From deep, here's
Now
Doncic.
it's looking like we may get a
Duran
chance
with the
to
rebound.
see the Cavs and the Nets face each other in the
Murray
Eastern
against
Conference
Doncic.
Finals this year.
And it's
So you have the last
Murray
2
finishing it off.
Eastern Conference champions facing each other for hopefully the right to play me,
Dallas has gone
the
1 for 3
defending,
from beyond the arc.
4-time defending NBA champion.
Started by Vassell.
But yeah, it's our first year without Mr. Robinson, our first year without Wemby. Not Wemby.
And it's
Jeremy Sohan. I don't know why I said
That's
Wemby.
out of bounds. Dallas will
Yes, our
keep
first
it.
year without Mitch or Sohan backing us up. Honestly, Sohan was
4 on the
key
clock.
last year,
From deep
but the
three-point
years before
range.
that, he was, I don't say he was non-essential, but he wasn't a big part of the crew because DeMar DeRozan was still killing it. It was only last year that he really became part of that starting lineup.
When he gets the rim in his sights.
Once DeMar got injured last year, he fell out of the starting lineup and put Sohan in, and we were dominating. And then DeMar came off the bench in the finals. The finals, man, against the Nets was stressful.
Nothing defenders can really do but shake their heads.
Fantastic replay we just saw of the Mobile One drive.
Yeah, taking the onus on himself to make something happen. Got it into the teeth of the defense and made them
I
pay.
like how this is playing out so
That
far.
athleticism we talk about with Murray.
Murray.
Point guard with major mouths.
The DJ himself. Something behind my back. I need to put it. Chill up. Get a little more comfortable. Here. Oh, oh, that's better. That's much better. Okay. Ooh. My sacrum is still bothering me. It
And here in the
hurts to
first,
sit.
approaching 3 minutes played. Fires for 3.
It's all about
San
where I'm
Antonio
putting
with
the
the rebound.
pressure when I
That was a
sit.
good
Though.
possession. They got a clean look. The shot
It's not as bad as yesterday. Got a little bit better. That's because I was in bed most of the day, so
Dort, the pass
took
to
pressure
Vassell.
off sitting.
Here's Duran. Check
Boom.
by Randall. Boom! He jams
Nice.
it straight down.
Can you say immediate entry into the highlight reel?
Whew, so
What a
yeah,
tough PA.
It's showtime now,
I'm gonna
man.
try and drive
They've built
tonight.
up a lead, and they're starting to
Tomorrow,
run it in. And
I'll run
that
some
replay
errands in the morning.
courtesy of the AT&T
depending on how I
5G
feel, I might even
Slam
catch a
cam.
movie The chance I was going to run some errands. And yeah, come home and rest.
Dallas needs to get off a shot. Shoots it from the corner. And misses it off the right side of the rim.
Maybe see if he'll leave or something else will help a little bit more with the information. I might buy some
great
leave.
1-2 punch. Beautiful pass and a nasty
It's in the
dance.
store right now. Right now I'm using ibuprofen. Historically, ibuprofen hasn't helped as much with inflammation
And Dallas
as a
calls
leave.
time here.
They're both NSAIDs. Aspirin kind of helps the pain, but I'm not even sure. I don't remember if aspirin's aspirin. I think it is. Aspirin's okay.
Look at Duran. His dominance on
Dan's
the
rebounds
board
game.
is
Look at that.
unquestionable.
Mobley, Wemby, Chet. But yeah. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get back to talking about basketball.
First quarter of play and just over
I
3.5
think Isaac's
minutes
fully
in.
healed now,
Pass to Moody.
which is good for them. He's a great defensive
Back to
talent.
Sexton. Over Murray.
3-and-D guy. He also gets to the rim a little bit.
On offense, here is San Antonio. They've got a 12-2 run.
Get it, Dort.
Dort. Ooh, a clear foul there on the missed shot. So he'll get a pair at the line.
Alright, so we're going to get Podol out. Actually,
Well, that was clearly
last check is Alcy's a timeout. Usually now is the time when Podol would come out.
And the first one
He'd
at
be
the
a
line
little
is
tired.
good. Time called here. San Antonio
But since
decides
they
to
use
talk
timeout,
over.
I'm going to use timeout instead. We'll pull everyone. Start of the second quarter.
So he gets
Okay, that one went in. And then just to show y'all at the beginning here, we're on Hall of Fame. And get back into that habit.
the Mavericks trailing. Here's Sexton. Pass to Moody. Takes the three.
That was good. Running off the
Grabs a
screen.
miss. Hurdle's got 4
But they
rebounds
still weren't
now.
able to get it to go. It's unfortunate for them.
It's Dort on the wing. Isaac covering.
DJ. Durden was flashing there, but yeah, no, I didn't feel comfortable with that.
Murray's
Wow.
shot is good.
Ankle breaker.
Murray's got 8.
just so
Wouldn't
successful.
look at that again. I thought it would show me in the replay, but spin inside. Good defense, great defense. He overplayed me a little bit though. That's why I just went whoop. And sure enough. Oh, my ankles. My ankles.
Getting the ball inside and finding those great looks.
See some stats from DJ. He's doing all right in the series.
Now here's Sexton.
A lot of assists.
Pass to Moody. From deep. Gets it to go. That makes him 2 for 3 in this game.
Trying to pick up his scoring
That's what
though.
they want to do.
I think in the
Get 'em
playoffs he's
open looks
averaging
early.
something like
San
22
Antonio, they've
points,
got
11
7 of 8 in the
assists.
basket.
But yeah.
Here's Duran. Defended by
Alright, let's see
Jackson.
here. Oop,
On the
get
way
over.
to Sell.
Aw.
Tried to answer back, but that 3 is off the mark. And for
Okay, cool.
Dallas,
I
they're
thought I was
shooting
going to
just
commit a foul there. I was
25%
going to
from
swipe
the field in the
when it
first
shouldn't have
quarter.
been. Yeah, Isaac's fully healed now.
Here's Sexton.
To make this team tougher.
There's 53 seconds left in the
I would
first
start
quarter
Isaac
here.
Flowers. Well, Flowers is a good scorer, so I understand why I think he's not starting in
Good.
Isaac's
Great
place.
D that time from Murray. Pass to Dort. To the
Moment
inside.
Flowers. Boom.
And it's Murray
That's his cousin.
finishing it off.
They've
His
shown
big
so
sister.
much energy right from the start, particularly on the offensive end.
I don't know if any of y'all ever seen Scott Pilgrim.
Really setting the tone on
Was Scott
offense,
Pilgrim
and
versus
the
Universe?
opposition has not been able to respond.
Pretty cool
And so
comic
it's
strip they made
Dallas
into a
with
movie.
it. Following the bucket
It
by
was
the
real
Spurs.
fun.
Guy's just ridiculous. He is just an absolute surgeon when he has the ball. This man is
That was like-
surgical. There is no way
That was
to
the
slow him
beginning
down
of
when he
geek culture,
wants
but that
to
was
score.
right there in the thick of geek
Now
culture
here's Murray.
becoming cool.
He's got 10.
Ugh.
Oh, Bucker with a block. Sexton against Murray.
Those of y'all under the age of like 25. Yeah, geek
Outside
culture wasn't
Sexton.
always cool. It's like mainstream now. But it
Booker with
did
a
not used to
screen
be
on
that way.
Murray. And so
The hate
San
was,
Antonio.
it was heavy. Play video games? You're a nerd. Or the idea that girls didn't play video games. And then that was perpetuated by people who did play video games. It was unfortunate. It's like a snowball effect, like
Antonio Spurs.
or like a self-fulfilling
Up by a
prophecy.
healthy 8 points at the end of the period.
It's like if only girls played
Hustled
video games. If a girl played video games, you don't really like video games. You're no good. You don't play games that
And
we
we're
do.
back with you folks as this exciting
Actually showing
Western
some interest.
Conference
Come on.
semifinal game rolls on. And guys, let's get your take on the scoring
But yeah.
breakdown for the Spurs.
Reading,
San Antonio leading.
Lord of the
We've got
Rings,
Christian Wood,
Dungeons
Evan
and
Vassell out
Dragons.
there with DeJounte
These
Murray.
little
Then
nerd
there's Lou
thing.
Dort,
You're a
and it's
nerd.
Duren in at the 5 down low.
Play some basketball.
So that's who San Antonio starts the second
Football.
with.
I mean, I love sports too. Don't get me wrong.
Over to the left wing.
Obviously,
6 to
but
shoot.
yeah, dude, it was weird.
And down it goes.
Comic
And
books.
that one home.
Now, comic books were a cool thing. Don't get me wrong. They were a cool thing, but you were still kind of a nerd or a geek. But like the jocks like comic books too, at least when they were younger. Now, if you're still reading comic books and you're in high school, that's when it was kind of like, it's a sketchy book. But the comic books are awesome. And anime, manga, all that, you were super geek, dude. You were geek on another level. You were like, because sure, like, there were people like Pokemon. Everyone knew about Pokemon, right? People like Pokemon. But if you're like DBZ, what's that? And there's the whole, it's more, I guess there's more adult themes in it. So like if you're a kid, you're walking around with, let's say, super busty anime girl on your stuff. It's very highly frowned upon. So that's very suggestive. And video games in a lot of ways, like Mortal Kombat.
To the middle.
The women in Mortal Kombat were very unclothed most of the time. I'm not unclothed, light clothes, we'll say.
This is the kind of team chemistry that you love to see.
But yeah, games got a little bit better with that.
Pass to Wood.
It's cool to have a sultry chick, or to have some, I guess, game hotties, the waifus, if you want to call them that. But like for every female character to be that way it's, I think as a culture, come to understand that's over the top. Got to dial it down a little bit. Let me see here. Wood, Collins, Dort, Vassell, Droz. Okay.
Good on the shot.
But yeah,
He's
man.
got 4 points in the quarter.
I'm trying to
They're
think.
just taking what the defense gives them. And right now,
2000. Okay,
that's the
so
interior.
Timeout on the floor.
maybe around.
Protecting the rim
Well, when the
has to
Marvel
be
movies
their
came
top
out,
objective
that's a
right
good.
now.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
man.
Coach is gonna
So
give
Lord of the Rings
them
hit
an earful
in
about that.
what,
You
2001?
Can't be happy with that soft interior.
Let me see if I can get all my timings right. So anywhere from the age of, so from like the 90s, like 91, going to about 99, we'll say. Super geeky, right?
Collins, he's checked
And then
in for
even
San
then,
Antonio.
when like Phantom Menace
DeRozan
came out
comes
in
in for
99, I
DeJounte
remember I was in
Murray.
7th grade. I watched it 6 times in theaters. 6 or 7,
And
at least
here in the
6.
second with about a
Because my
minute
friend
and
was
a half
joking
to
about, I
go.
didn't even make a joke, he did, that I'd watched it for the 6th time, so the 6th time. Like I watched it, then I watched it again immediately. And then it came out like right before school was done. And in my middle school at that point, our last like, I don't know what it was, I think our last week of school was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but each day was a half day. It was weird. It's like basically you were just kind of, what's the term? We were winding down the school year. I think maybe that year we had like some, because most schools have days where like, just in case the weather's too like nasty, you can't go to school. I think that year we didn't have to use any of those days. So those half days would be days that would be like full days if something happened. If there were weather issues. And we just didn't have weather issues, so we were just kind of there messing around. We didn't really do any, there was no learning done, all the tests had been done the week before. We were just kind of chilling. Anyway, my point is, get out of school at like noon. I would walk. Okay, so here's the thing. I had money for bus fare, right? Because I would take the bus to go down to this area near me. It was real cool back in the day. This was a good 25 years ago, man. I'm old. Alright, so 25 years ago, the area had a Target, an H-E-B, which is our local grocery store, but like a big one. It had a Target, an H-E-B. It had a movie theater, and it also had Barnes & Nobles with a Starbucks attached. And this was like the Gucci Barnes & Nobles, like the first Barnes & Nobles that San Antonio got. So anyway, that's why I live in San Antonio. So anyway, I would have bus fare, but I would keep it. And instead of taking the bus down there, because I'd go down there until my mom got out of work, a lot of times, and she would pick me up. And she'd get out of work at like 5:30, picking up at 5:30 to 6, something like that. She worked in that area even. Like if I needed to get a hold of her after school or something, I could go to her job because it was right down there. Anyway, but instead of using my money for bus fare, I would walk the 2.5 miles or so, almost 3 miles, which is good for you, right? I'm 12 years old, it's healthy. I mean, it's near on a school day, I'm safe. But yeah, it's a good side of town. So anyway, I would do that, and I would save up the money, and I had a little bit of cash of my own, like an allowance or money that I'd had from, I think I was an intramurals rep that year, so I wasn't making cash that way. But yeah, I'd have a little bit of money on me, and I'd go to the movie theater, and I'd watch a matinee of The Phantom Menace. So that's how I got to watch it like 6 times. Going with the family, watched it twice with them on opening night, and then I watched it 4 more times on my own, something like that. Anyway, around that time in '99, it was still really geeky, right? Lord of the Rings, I'd already read the Lord of the Rings books and The Hobbit, so then the movies come out. So this is right in the middle of Lord of the Rings movies coming out, just fantasy epic, of course. Had never really had something like that in theaters to that extent, that trilogy. Because you have stuff here and there like Willow, Legend, Lady Hawk, stuff like that. There was fantasy stuff, Conan, but it was never like, it wasn't like big, like blockbuster motion picture production. And Lord of the Rings is huge. So anyway, funny thing, we actually watched the, I think it was the 25th anniversary, or the 25th anniversary of Return of the King coming out. My brother and I watched it. It was the extended version, which is like 4 hours long. Anyway, so that came out, right? And people were joking about it because it would take George Lucas 3 years in between his trilogy movies to release, and Peter Jackson essentially filmed like the majority of the Lord of the Rings in like the first like 4 years of film production. So, because I think it's supposed to be a duology, they wanted it to be like 2 movies, and he filmed enough footage already that he's like, it's gonna have to be 3 movies. And so the studio's like, well, okay, I guess we'll make 3 movies then. Anyway, props to New Line for that, and Peter Jackson, which they should have as a consultant for the Lord of the Rings on Amazon right now, the War of the Rings, and he offered to do it. But apparently they didn't want him to because they liked the people they had who were their lore masters who totally botched the lore. But yeah, anyway, I'm not too happy about that. But anyway, so I think we got Lord of the Rings in 2000, 2001, and 2003. These are that matches. Yeah, because then it would have been the 20th anniversary of Return of the King. Yeah, that makes sense. So 2001, 2002, 2003. We got Phantom Menace in 99. And 2002, we got Attack of the Clones, which was panned a little bit. A lot of people didn't like it. Phantom Menace made a bunch of money because we've been so Star Wars depraved for so long. It was a good movie, though. I like Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon Jinn, what's his name? Liam Neeson, great acting. His character is excellent. Anyway, Attack of the Clones 2002, 2005, we get Revenge of the Sith. So by the time 2005 has rolled around and the Sith have been vengeful, they've been getting their vengeance on. Hold on one second here. Ooh. So by that time, we'd already had the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You had a new Star Wars trilogy, right?
Great activity on the offensive glass.
Let's see, how old was I at this point? I was 19. Alright, so, and then, oh my goodness, the Spider-Man movies. I forgot about those. So we had already gotten the Spider-Man movies. I think we'd gotten all 3 of them. I forgot when the Spider-Man movies came out. The first one was 2000. The X-Men movies were on the scene. So we had a bunch of stuff already that people had seen. Let me run it down. Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Lord of the Rings. The Blades had come out. The Blade movies were really cool. I liked them anyway. What else? Star Wars, like I said. You also had kids now had some new Star Wars stuff because you had the Clone Wars. You had a micro series that was on Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. Cartoon Network helped out significantly too, because then you started getting DBZ and a bunch of stuff that was anime. You started getting that on American television that you would only see in fits and starts every once in a while. When you were a kid, Saturday morning. Now it was like weekdays. Toonami, man. Yu Yu Hakusho. Of course, Pokemon helped hit mainstream people. You know, that's kind of a weak sauce anime. It's still an anime. But, yeah, man. Yu Yu Hakusho and, not Berserk. That wasn't a kid's thing. I'm trying to remember what else was on Toonami. DBZ, Dragon Ball. There's a bunch of things that I can't. There's Cowboy Bebop. All that stuff. You got it on Adult Swim. You got it on Rurouni Kenshin. Dude, there's some awesome stuff.
Taking a look at the Spurs.
So you started getting all that. It's inundating kids. It's inundating culture. And yeah, man. It was just... You had the Marvel movies that had come out. And then it was kind of quiet, in my opinion.
Back to our coverage of Game 3 on
like,
2K Sports. You know,
Iron Man didn't come out until 2008, right?
Here,
so at this point, as of 2008, Geek is getting there. So 15 years ago, it still wasn't quite cool to be a geek, but it was... It had hit... How can I put this? It hit a critical mass where it was going to keep growing.
Rebounded by the Spurs.
Video games. Let's go with that. As we were playing video games started becoming more realistic. It was no longer these blocky little cartoony looking characters. You are now in the realm of PS2. I think it released in 2001. So PS2, Xbox, GameCube, I think they were out by 2002. So yeah, you got all that. And then PS3 would come out by about 2006. That's when we started getting some significantly realistic games. And things aren't really cartoony anymore. We still had some stuff, but not a whole lot. So now video games are... The average video game player at that point, probably like 25. I think that number's up to like the average video game player is like 35 years old. I think there's more female video game players than male. But I believe that includes casual players who play on their phone. There's a lot of women of all ages. I used to work with some women who were past 50, and what they would do on their downtime is they're playing some kind of word game on their phone, or like Clash of Clans, of all things. What was the other one? Candy Crush, yes. My mom just said Candy Crush. Even my mother knows what Candy Crush is. And she came from a time before.
Yes, almost 65 years ago. Later this month, it'll be official.
Once he poked it away, you knew what was on his mind.
But yeah,
Here's Randall. Oh, rejected.
steak salad and cheesecake, yes. Cheese salad and steak cake.
Intercepted.
Ooh, steak cake. It's like a meatloaf is a steak cake.
Here's Randall.
That's exactly what that is.
Randall's got 6.
And he gives up some
I thought about that,
size
making some
inside,
meatloaf, and I'll have the
makes a
stuff
great
to make it.
adjustment on the finish.
I'll have eggs. I don't have hamburger meat. I'll make turkey loaf. Ooh. That doesn't sound too great. I don't like ground turkey either. Specifically, like, it's not like my favorite thing in the world.
The bank shot, no good.
How can I put this? It's too dry.
First miss since the break.
It's too dry. I'd rather have the turkey in its original form. But like I said, it's cheap.
Foul is called.
It doesn't have enough flavor either. It's kind of bland. I think it's because it's ground turkey breast. It's not, there's no dark meat in it. It's all breast. It's dry. That's not right, yeah. So you gotta jazz it up a little bit. When you cook it, I'm gonna throw a little bit of butter in there maybe to make it a little richer. And then it's gonna be butter seasoned, of course. And then for some of it, it's gonna be made into meat and beans, which the beans have plenty of flavor. I'm gonna make one that's like black beans with the meat, and then the other one's going to be the ranch style beans. And then we'll have one that's a spaghetti. Actually, I have 2 spaghetti sauces. We'll see. I have a lot of spaghetti sauce. But I think I'm getting 2 pounds of noodles. Some of them can be garlic buttery noodles. It does, doesn't it? And some of them can just be straight up like a carb for a meal. It can just be the spaghetti sauce with the noodles, and then we'll have hot dogs or something.
Duran with a rebound.
Nah, that sounds kind of quick.
Duran's got rebound number 8
What's
here
that get?
already in the game.
Oh, lasagna. The lasagna's going to be good.
Inside.
I'm going to charge y'all for that lasagna.
Takes the assist and lays it in. Nice setup.
We're whooping up on him
Here in the
now.
quarter.
when I get to talking about geek culture, I zone in on the game. So yesterday, when I went from, we were watching Joe Pickett, but I was playing my game, and we went back and forth between them. Like you would start filling water bottles, or you'd start doing something else, and yeah, or you went to a shower or restroom or something. Oh, you're putting water bottles in the car, that's what it was. So that whole time, this was recording. So it shows, so the demo is on there, but all of our conversations, and I think you can even hear some of Joe Pickett in the background, is on my YouTube page now. No one watches these. It doesn't matter. I think I have like 300 videos and a total of like 20 views across all 300 other videos. Not really. 20 views across 300 videos. That means less than one out of every. It means 1 out of every 15 videos someone watches a portion of it. That's nothing. And a lot of times I think it was John Michael early on, or Tris, they would log in just to help my view count. Nah, because I've had people that log in and they're just bots. Or they're people from like China or something. Because they'll say some weird stuff and they'll try and get you to go to their website. And it's like, yeah, no, bro. It's like I don't need a Nigerian prince's letter of recommendation or something to be able to get millions of dollars. You must send me $1,000 so that I can get the paperwork to be able to get $300,000, and I'll give you half. It's like,
Easy reverse for him. He has nice feel and touch around the bucket.
For Dallas, they've gone 4 of 8 in the third. .114 left in the third quarter here. The three from Sexton. Sexton, another miss for San Antonio. They've gotten 7 of their 9 shots to fall. Quality shooting in the second half. Here's Allen.
No foul? There's no foul there? Dude, they're abusing Grayson Allen, I swear. Ooh. Oh, that's a nice putback. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I like how I make noises of exertion as if I'm actually playing the game, like, physically. Oh, that hurts. But yeah, so that's a short history of geek culture. It was around that time, I'd say 2008, when Iron Man released. Once that happened and people started getting mainstream on now comic book thing, not just Spider-Man, X-Men, the big stuff. Everyone knew who Spider-Man was, everyone knew who the X-Men was. Superman. Kind of left out some of the DC movies because they weren't great, but that was going off too. People started doing, and Iron Man wasn't someone that I thought anyway would ever get a big following. If you look at the Avengers, those Avenger comics never really sold well back in the day, and the comics of the people there never really sold well. There was a brief stint where the Hulk sold well, which is why Universal, of everything they could get, the Hulk was what they decided. Big company, could have had anything they wanted after Spider-Man. They were like, the Hulk's bankable. Then I think, I want to say Universal may have put out the Hulk TV show with, what was his name? Lou Ferrigno back in the day. I need to look that up. That was in the 70s, yeah?
5 assists in the game.
Yeah.
Here's Wood.
Oh, yes. Blue Dog. Ow. One thing I hate a bunch of things about this pain. It's not sciatic, but it might be going sciatic. It goes across my pelvis to the front sometimes, or in my leg right now. I felt a little twinge. It feels weird.
It's a double-digit ball game. Spurs out in front, up by
It's
16.
across right here in the front, so yeah, I guess it is kind of like the groin area, but it doesn't really reach the. Yeah, it doesn't reach like the inner thigh, groin area. It's more right here where, so my hips are up here. It's more down.
All right, let's listen in. Head coach Jason
I don't know how to explain it. Where your stomach and your thigh meets. It's in that area.
And 1 quarter to go in a game that, to this point, has not been an evenly fought contest.
The groin area, I consider it to be right here. I consider it to be in your front pelvic area.
42% for the game.
Right, but your hips are higher. Well, it's hard for me to tell because I'm fat.
Christian Wood out there with Zach Collins.
It's hard for me to feel the hip bump. It's hidden. The spare tire, the spare Mack truck tire is hiding it.
Back to DeRozan. Wood right side.
Well, pass it, fool.
Six to shoot.
I initiated that pass like 3 seconds earlier, and he finally did it. Oh, it's fine. All right, so they're going to go on a little run here. I can already feel it. Playing more aggressive. Here's the Doncic. They're running Doncic off the screen, so Cassell's sticking with him, which is pretty awesome.
Here's Doncic. He's guarded closely.
That was a nice shot.
When you watch Luka play, you can't forget he's 6'7".
Outscored him every single quarter.
He can more than hold his own inside.
They're slowly getting better. Outscored him by 8, then outscored him by 6, and I think I only outscored him by 3 in the last one. Go to Mark. Get that.
And the layup is good after
Alright, looks like we still have a 13-point lead, though.
And the Spurs lead by 13.
That cushion will help against any kind of run they try and go on. They have 5 minutes to outscore me by 13 points. I don't like their... Yes, ma'am. I don't like their chances. Let's put that... Oh, my goodness. If I turn the ball over like that, the jury will be out. I'll put it that way. Okay, so back to what we were saying. Iron Man's released in 2008. The Hulk. I think the same year. Not Eric Bana's cool. His Hulk's cool too. But the Hulk by the MCU Hulk is what I'm trying to say. That started ushering in the new era. Thor. When you get people to go to theaters and watch a Thor movie, that's when you know geek culture has firmly taken hold. So yeah, and then over the next decade, it became cool. It was officially cool to be a geek. It wasn't just a niche population. Now you had people, everyone from 65 down. Everyone who read comics is like, yeah, I read comics. Oh, this is pretty cool. Or I played video games, people in their 50s. I played an Atari back in 74. Well, late 40s, I guess. I played an Atari. So all these people who remembered all this cool stuff, then you had people who are like, computers, miniatures, Dungeons and Dragons, they can kind of come out of the closet, as it were, about it. It's like, yeah, I played D&D. It was almost like you were cool now. People realize, oh, you can roleplay in this? Really? You can do a fantasy thing? That Lord of the Rings thing, we can do that? Or video games released that were D&D based. What's it called? Baldur's Gate. So there was an intersection of video games, pop culture. Pop culture was the last, what's it called? The last ceiling, I guess you could say, that needed to be busted through. The last gate that needed to be broken down to be able to fully inundate people with the notion, or to fully have the acceptance of the average person for geek culture.
Dort outside. Clock at 4.
Because there's an intersection of comic books, which comic book characters get portrayed in video games, fantasy characters get portrayed in video games, and then you have that fantasy comic book aspect. They build into each other. Comic books are fantasy. So fantasy writings, you end up getting comic books form. It's all one melting pot. And then those influence cartoons, anime, manga. It's all the same thing. It's storytelling. It's different ways to tell your story. And then once it hit the big screen, you start getting movies that are like, that's what my superheroes look like. That's what you see that on the page of the comics. They were able to bring it to life on the big screen with amazing CGI.
Julius Randle's checked in for the Mavericks. And both free throws good for Collins.
Can't hardly do anything in that realm. Like Avatar, I guarantee you, it had a comic book tie-in. There's video games, right? There's video games? I'm surprised there wasn't. So you have comic book tie-ins, you have video game tie-ins, books get written about things. even like Warcraft. Warcraft has books. There's Warcraft comics. There's Warcraft little toys, figurines. There's all sorts of stuff. Minecraft. Well, I don't know if Minecraft has any comics, but it's all media. Media gets exploited to its fullest now to inundate. When you have magazines, well, back in the day there was a golden era of video game magazines. Unfortunately, we're down to like 2.
Here's Randall. Uses the glass on the low.
Yeah, you used to have a good variety. There was a glut of them at one point where, like comic books, they overdid it for a little bit, and that actually led to a dilution of quality, in my opinion. Oh, each one had their purpose for the most part. You would have the official magazine of a system, like official PlayStation or Nintendo Power, where they would have exclusive information because they were the official magazine, so the company was feeding them the information. Oh. Dang it. Oh well. Let me do this real quick. And that was cool at the time. And then you'd have your independent magazines, which weren't swayed at all by any kind of corporate overlord, and they could speak freely. So you have unbiased, honest reviews. And also, like Nintendo Power only did Nintendo. What was it? Official US PlayStation magazine only reviewed PlayStation games. So they would also review all 3 systems. So it was like a one-stop shop. You just didn't get any kind of exclusive news, basically. You still needed the official magazines for that information.
If it happens once, coaches usually let it slide.
For sure.
Just don't want to make it a habit.
So San Antonio going with almost an entire new group here. Duran, he's checked in for Christian
It's
Wood.
small, but
Comes in for
how many bottles you feel you're still going to be short?
And Murray subbed in for DeMar DeRozan.
We'll get you some kind of calcium injections in the femurs. Might be too late for you, though. Isn't that what they do? They're growth hormone, aren't they? And it's only like you have to prove that you're going to be impacted by it, that it would, what's it called? So like,
Antonio goes the other way with it.
Right.
The biggest lead of the game was 21. The drive by Murray, and it's Murray finishing it off.
And guys, that's got to be the dagger.
So on the disabilities chart, it doesn't just say dwarfism. It has it, I guess, to be more PC. They put on there as a disability short stature, and then in parentheses dwarfism. I guess so that you're not like, well, I'm short. Yeah, exactly.
This game wasn't handed to them. They took it.
Oh no, this is for like the thing for applying for jobs though. Yeah. I'm like, why don't you just put dwarfism? Why do you put short stature and then parentheses dwarfism? If you just put dwarfism's the appropriate term. And then I just don't get it. The whole notion, so the whole issue with Disney that they're trying to say was that Peter Dinklage, who has dwarfism, he's in, you've seen him before, he was in, what's it called, he's been in a bunch of things, but he's famous from Game of Thrones, and then he was also in an X-Men movie as Bolivar Trask, and he was in the Pac-Man movie, and anyway, you don't really notice that he's a dwarf because he has his acting ability. He doesn't act like he's a dwarf. They don't play up on it, you know? Yeah. It's whatever. So yes, in Game of Thrones, him being a dwarf was like part of the character. And the other ones, it wasn't really part of the character. He's just an actor, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyway, apparently he said something about Snow White. He's like, oh yeah, it enforces stereotypes of dwarfs and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It would be better if they did away with the dwarfs and then just made them something else. And I was just thinking the whole time, like, well, Lord of the Rings and all of that. There's dwarves in Lord of the Rings, and what? And honestly, what stereotypes are being reinforced in Snow White about dwarves? They work in a mine. That's it.
Yeah, there are.
That's
none.
it.
There are none.
And the notion that dwarves are like closer, they're like the dwarves of fantasy are from like mountains or they come from the rocks or whatever. Mm-hmm. Them working in a mine would be the only thing that would quote unquote reinforce a stereotype. Make them not miners. I mean,
it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Because there's nothing in Snow White.
It's just people want to bring up junk for no good reason.
And now they were even talking about it. It's like, so that's 7 dwarf actors. I think only one of them is a dwarf now. So that's like 6 actors or dwarf actors. Ow! Or little people actors, because there's other things that aren't dwarfism that make you little. Ow! Ow!
It cuts the knees.
Ow!
It just cuts the feet out from under people that
Oh.
would actually be making a good living.
Yes, it does.
That's the same thing that happened to the Aunt Jemima syrup.
Ow!
The lady
That was
was getting-
ridiculous. Her and her family, they were getting residuals.
Yeah, and they were okay with it.
Yeah,
So other people shouldn't be able to tell you
yeah.
what if you want to do.
So that black
something
family,
regardless-
and that was no longer getting residuals from her image or her likeness, or they're getting less, I think. Because they still use the name, don't they?
I don't know. I really don't know. They may not. And it's not even the people who it's about that are making these decisions, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you're hurting
34 and
those people
16, 28,
were
24,
gaining-
2, 2 and 2, 26,
the
2
people
and
themselves that
2,
were gaining
16,
from it.
8, 4, 10, 1, 1, 1. Oh, my foot. Alright, so overall, great game by everyone. We were super efficient. Started shooting a couple of threes late. Maybe overdid that a little. Damn slow for three. The three we made was with Grayson Allen. But yeah. Cell having a rough time. Be fine though. Murray had a great game, 34 and 16. Heck yeah, Jalen Duren. On the other side, Luka, good game, 22, 8, 12, and 2. 5 and 13 is not great for him, but it's not the worst shooting I've seen. 1 of 5 from 3. If he cut that out, he'd be 4 of 12. Wait, 4 of... I can't do math. 4 of 8. It'd be 50% shooting from everywhere else. So that shows you that he needs to stop falling in love with the 3. Now over here, Moody is doing well. Filipowski did good. Randall. Sexton, once again, not the best shooting percentage. 1 of 4 from 3. So if you cut that out, he'd be 3 of 7 from elsewhere. If you want the beats, you can take them. I don't think John Michael or I are going to eat those.
Oh, wait a minute. That came out of your thing, didn't it?
Yeah, but they're in cans, well, it's fine.
I know.
Metal's not porous.
I need to look at the expiration date because I had some stuff.
Well, metal's not that porous. Oh, yeah, that stuff's old.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'll eat them.
If it's old. If it's not old, it's good.
I mean, it can't be that old, except someone probably gave it to us because it was old already.
That'll tell us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now that I found out that I'm not getting copyright strikes, that my videos are available to watch with the in-game music. I thought I was getting copyright strikes before, but no, all they're doing is they're putting a notice on my videos that, hey, this is this music, this is that music. I'm fine with that. Everyone can still view it. They can still be theoretically monetized, which I'm not expecting any monetization to occur at this point. But yeah. Now what they are, some of them are being struck in Russia and Belarus. And I think that's more of a thing where, yeah, where those companies just don't want their music to be available in those countries because of the war. But yeah, the Ukrainian conflict. Alright. I am going to end the video though. That way I don't just have a 5-hour-long video with a bunch of games on it. I prefer having each game to its individual. Alright, but we can check this out. So I don't have to cut it off like I thought I did before. I always do that just to see how it's going. Houston and Brooklyn are looking like they're going to sweep their prospective opponents, which is what I thought at least Brooklyn would do. Kind of surprised over here. Figured OKC would get 1, and they still might. Cleveland's beating Chicago. Chicago put up a little bit of a fight, but I'm pretty sure Cleveland's just too much for them. December? Yeah, okay. Chicago. Alright, that's all for this video. I'll start a new one.